Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 94 for March 22nd, 2023. I am Nemesis, and I am joined by Alcatraz here.
Hello.
Yes, let's see. The big thing I can think of for this week that I caught my eye was very much they finally revealed the actual trailer for Genjutsu no Yohane with animation and everything finally.
Yeah.
So we got to see how it looks like, and yes, it's looking good, and I am... Yes, and reconfirming the July release date, I am so happy, and I'm like kind of realizing, like, it's again, I've to talk about this with the Love Life stuff, but it's like something about Aqua, Sunshine, and all that is something about them is just better than the other groups. Like, it's not like I hate the other ones or anything. It just is there's that thing I think I've talked about the je ne sais quoi. Something about them in particular. Seeing them come back is really exciting for me.
Yeah. That hard to describe thing about something that sets them apart.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the thing. But just seeing that coming out was just pretty neat. Beyond that, yeah, both of us keeping up with stuff again.
Yep.
Yeah. Magic Revo, the season's almost over too.
Yeah, we've only got, as of recording, one more episode?
One or two, yeah, I think one or two, depending. I'm not sure if it's 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, season's come to an end. They released a trailer for the second season of The Witch from Mercury.
Yeah, I still haven't watched any of that.
Yeah. Keep yourself avoiding spoilers.
Yeah, I've been mostly avoiding spoilers, so I should be pretty good there.
I can't think of much else, so we're going to kind of move on to the main topic of this episode. We're talking about Revue Starlight. Yeah, we watched that. For me, a rewatch, because I watched it, actually, I think, pretty close to when it came out. But anyway, yeah. So Revue Starlight is an interesting anime in general, actually just franchise in general for what it is. Because it is kind of a gacha thing, because Bushiroad is involved, and Bushiroad is involved. That usually means there's a mobile game somewhere, or will be. Because always, I mean, they're involved with Love Lives, yeah. But in this, it's about musical theater, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a group of girls who are in a specialized high school for musical theater and whatnot. And well, it starts off fairly normal until one of them, namely the main character, Karin, finds a weird elevator and then gets roped into something very strange.
Yes.
Involving
strange.
A giraffe.
Yes.
A talking giraffe.
Yes, a talking giraffe.
Let's see, I'm trying to think the best way to go from there. So yeah, it turns out there's this whole audition process, quote unquote, where the girls have to literally fight each other and to take position 0, and then the winner of this whole big old audition process gets a wish of some sort.
Yeah.
And there you go. And there's on top of it called Revue Starlight because they're doing a play called Starlight. It's a tragedy, and that's a kind of a overarching constant thing going on. That Starlight is a tragedy.
Yes. Yes. And it reflects the story of Starlight to the story of the characters as well.
Yes, that too.
It's sort of, yeah. You watch the play, the story of the play is the story of the characters acting in the play, and you see them going through the whole thing. But yeah, it's a magical girl anime. But it's
kind of.
It's a magical girl anime, but it's a bit different.
Yeah. It's one of the things. So someone might argue about that. So it's like, is it a magical girl? Well, it's got the all-female cast. There are transformation sequences, and also shut up.
They battle each other. They have a big transformation sequence, and they fight each other.
Yeah. But anyway, the big thing is at the beginning of it, we got a little bit of, like, Karin, she had a childhood friend who she's coming back, and they're both into the theater thing, and she's coming back, and they had a promise to each other, and initially, childhood friend was a bit cold to her, and then kind of warmed back up again. I guess it's one of those weird things I need to see you're actually serious about this or something.
Right.
There's a whole thing there. Anyway, it's kind of the typical one girl is very bubbly and happy, and the other one is very stoic and serious.
Yep. Common trope.
Yeah, because and there's a whole cast of them, but there's, I guess, those two, the Karin and Hikari, her childhood friend, are the main characters. Yeah, mm-hmm. Karin Aijo, Hikari Kagura. They also have a roommate, Mahiro Tsuyuzaki, who's also kind of has a thing for Karin. That becomes a huge thing.
That becomes a very critical part.
Claudine Saijo, Maya Tendo, those two have very much a rivalry going on. Claudine always is second place to Maya and really resents that, at least initially. Juna Hoshimi, who's the student council president eventually, and also she's very studious, likes to quote people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also Nana Daiba, she's like everybody's friend. She's everyone's big friend / big sister type character.
The mom friend.
Yep, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you got Futaba Isurugi, who's very much a tomboy, although also kind of not always. Rides a motorcycle. So she's cool, obviously. And Kaoruko Hanayagi, who's her childhood friend, who's also very sleepy and also implications about her family that may or may not be alarming.
It's very traditional, as in they're steeped in tradition.
And also there's also the thing about she's kind of a selfish and whiny sometimes.
A bit.
And Futaba will just kind of tolerates that a lot. Also, Tokyo Tower is a big deal.
Yes.
A very big deal. A lot. That's the cast of characters. They, let's see. I'm trying to think of how to do this stuff. So they're all kind of, a lot of them live on a dorm. All of them live in the dorm, which, for the school. And there's also, of course, rules and all that stuff there. But yeah, their big thing is they're all actresses and they're studying acting and they are all kind of in competition with one another in real life because, well, there's only one lead role or two lead roles, I guess, for Starlight.
Right.
There's only two lead roles and, well, only two people can play those. You can't have everyone play them. So.
Yep, who's going to get the lead?
Yep. And so on and so forth. And the thing is, Starlight is they constantly keep every year they put on a new version of Starlight because they do make changes and modifications every single year. And that's the thing of the school. And they're the 99th class in this particular school. The school's been around for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a big thing is, so Karin trying to find where Hikari went and stumbles across an elevator and then going, was that always here? And, well, she gets in and she winds up crashing this, audition process, which involves a giraffe. And she wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't supposed to find out about it. And, well, she's here and she gets involved because she sees Hikari in trouble on stage because it's a fight. She gets involved and saves Hikari from Juna. And, well, now she's in it.
Yep.
And apparently Hikari did not want this to happen because she even tried to stop, literally tying up Karin and locking her up in a shed to try to stop this, although Karin got loose and, well.
I think that was later, but yeah.
That was actually pretty early on.
But it was after the elevator thing.
Yeah, it was well after, but that was the whole thing there. Yeah, that's all well and good, but then turns out the additions are there's a little more high stakes than you actually might or initially realize. And also on top of that, there's a supernatural element to it. Well, I mean, there's talking giraffe. That's kind of obvious from the get-go. And also, what was the other thing I was... right, also, and on top of that, the reason why... And also turns out Hikari also was in another audition process before, because she was studying abroad in London, and has been for a very long time at this point. Something like 12 years.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's been a bit, but she's been through this before, which is the reason why she didn't want Karin to join in, because she knows what happens.
Yep, because there's the dark side to winning the wish.
Yeah, well, of course, there's that, and what happens to the people who don't win?
Exactly, the dark side.
Well, there's a lot going on there. Also, there's also the movie, which is because they're all first years and zeroing out the anime, and then the movie is their third years, and it's now the movie's more about them dealing with the idea, and the movie's really goes heavy into symbolism and whatnot compared to the anime, which is a little more straightforward about, a little bit more straightforward about it.
A little bit more.
The movie goes super deep in the symbolism, but I'm pretty sure the movie's about them more or less, reaching adulthood and having to move forward with their lives.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest.
That's
biggest
the big
point.
thing, and there's sometimes how that will involve some heartache.
Yeah, I think the movie, there's two things it really deals with primarily, and that's one of them.
That's big. That's one of the big kind of themes throughout it.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't make that super clear sometimes. Other times, I get it. Overall, this anime as a whole, I really, really like it. I remember the first time I came away from it, it was really it leaves a really big impression on you because it is the one thing is about this anime. It is very, very stylish, for sure. It oozes a lot of style. It goes the extra mile in many ways just to really just goes way beyond what it really needed to do what it's doing. It really pays off.
I mean, you think that it kind of has to.
I mean,
it's a theater troupe.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point.
But budget could have been a problem. You never know. But they spent the money.
Yep. Yeah. They definitely did. They did it right. I also really enjoy it. I don't feel it has any real pacing issues either. If you think about it, it's paced really well. Things flow really well. It's really good. The animation's actually pretty good too. Is the studio on this
fantastic sometimes.
Huh?
It's Kinema Studio.
Kinema Studio.
Kinema Citrus, yeah. Yeah, Kinema or Cinema. I'm not sure because it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
They're borrowing words from English, so they might be intentionally misspelling it, but also still pronouncing it the same.
Yep, that's a thing.
Yeah, so it's animated real. And of course, the other thing is like every episode has a brand new song where they're singing while they're fighting, and because that's the kind of the whole thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is musical.
The
theater.
music is also fantastic,
music is
particularly
amazing.
in the movie.
Oh my god! I hope
the movie
I need to see
takes
if
what's
there's
already like a 10 and turns it up to like a 12.
Yeah, I need to see if there's like a soundtrack for that movie because that's freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's that's one big thing. It's just the music itself, because that's one of the things. If you're doing musical theater, you better be on your A game for the music.
Mm-hmm. That's half the freaking. Not only is that half the entire medium, it's the foundation of the medium. You can't have musical theater without the music. The theater goes on the music.
So yeah, one big thing, and that was the other thing, was apparently the movie just came out last year. The anime came out in 2018. The movie came out last year, 2022. And I remember a lot of people were hyping it up. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's one of those things. The movie itself is weird because the plot line is actually, when you look at it, is actually fairly simple.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so stylish about it. It goes so, like, even beyond what the anime itself did, which already was doing that style, that it's just, yeah, it's a visual spectacle, and that's the big thing here. It's a visual spectacle for characters that at this point, if you're watching this movie, you already care about. And yeah, so it's a big deal.
Yeah. I'll echo that as well. There's not a huge, long, in-depth plot to the movie. It's basically just taking the end of the story and embellishing it, and just like, okay, here's just this one point. Like I said, there was two main things that it really talked about, and one of the main running ones was the basically finding your own path, where you're going to go from here. This is done now. What's the next thing? But it's also part of the sort of a facing your demons thing. This is, here's your struggle. Time to face it head on. Here's the things
can't run anymore.
Yeah, you can't run anymore. Here it is. You're going to deal with this. And now you've dealt with it. You've brought it up. And now where do you go from here? And that's just the plot of the entire movie. But yeah, it is brilliant. Visually brilliant. The symbolism, the spectacle, the colors, the action, everything in that movie is just, it was impressive. It's really freaking good.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, the animation studio Kinema Citrus there, they've also done Made in Abyss, and also unfortunately Rising of the Shield Hero.
Yeah, Yu Shiki as well.
Yu Shiki, there's one that's also it's the Order of Rabbit. I see that one pop up a lot too.
Order of the Rabbits, yeah.
It's Order of Rabbit. And
some Dot Hack stuff as well.
Dot Hack is there. They also did one of the bits of the Star Wars Visions anthology. The Village Bride. Oh, right. I think I remember that one. That was really stylish too. But yeah, that was their whole thing. But a large chunk of it, also what sells it is this: the characters themselves are a lot of fun, and also you see a lot of the wild. Some of the stuff like they have. It's like you see that kind of that two-facedness a lot of people have, which is they have, a lot of people have their public version of themselves and their very private version of themselves, and you see how that can wildly differ with some of these people. Like Hikari, it's interesting because Hikari is like, for example, she is kind of the what we saw, almost the cliched the very aloof, kind of stoic girl with long dark hair, and was like,
Yep.
let's see, that's Homura, that's
Yeah.
and so on and so on. But one of the big difference here is she's also actually a slob,
Oh yeah.
which is very unusual for this kind of character type.
Yep, because usually they're very studious and buttoned up and everything prim and proper and such like that, and they kind of look down their noses at everyone.
Turns out she actually has more in common with Karin than you may initially believe from the from appearances. Because Karin's also a bit of a slob, and the fact is they wind up rooming together with Mihiru, who winds up more or less having to take care of them a lot because she's the only one who apparently knows how to clean anything.
Yep.
So that's becomes a thing as on its own right, and of course. One point, actually, Hikari and Mihiru wind up kind of in a bit of conflict with one another to a degree because, well, Mihiru has a thing for Karin, and here comes Hikari, who just suddenly takes her away from Mihiru, and that's no good.
Yep.
And Mihiru also, kind of also fights Karin a bit because she's like, come on, can't you pick up on the obvious signals I've been sending you for like the past few months?
Yeah, sort of a love triangle going on
What
there.
signals? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And she's also kind of scary. Mihiru's a little scary. But so is Hikari, but in a different way. Yeah, it's interesting because what they did, they basically take, the anime is pretty gay. It's kind of not unsurprising considering, theater. Like, I know that's a bit of a stereotype, but
yeah.
And the thing is also they kind of conveniently pair off the characters for you.
They do,
because they're all roommates in the dorm.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. So it's very convenient. So they're paired off. So it's like, oh, perfect. That's the exact perfect pairings, and everyone just kind of went along with it.
Maya and Claudine.
Yeah, Maya and Claudine was like the big one because they're the one that pushed the hardest. A lot of them have a lot of, let's be real, it's all subtext and whatnot to varying strengths.
Yeah.
But Maya and Claudine went the hardest, like to the point of like literally they call each other like my Claudine and my Maya.
Yeah.
Like even in the original Japanese, watashi no.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're like... There's a thing there, and on top of it, the whole rivals thing, and
and it all coming to head in the movie, and their fight scene in the movie, and just like, holy crap!
Yeah, the movie just took what was kind of subtext and for everyone, just really pushed it even harder than ever. Like, it's not really so much subtext anymore, is it? If you don't see anything gay going on here, you are hopelessly straight,
willfully blind.
And that's what actually I was curious again because looking at the fan stuff and Claudine and Maya is way more popular than anyone else in the fan works, like by a huge margin. It's not even close.
It's probably because even though they're not the main characters, just
they're the kind of the most intense.
They are that's what I was going for. They're the most intense, the most extra of the bunch.
But oddly enough, actually, I've also discovered, which is Karin Hikari is actually fairly low in popularity, and in fact, one setup that's more popular is as Karin Hikari and Mihiru.
Oh,
is more popular than just Karin and Hikari.
Yeah, you add her in there.
So that's an interesting thing in its own right. But it's just. And Juna and Nana or Banana is a big one, and Futaba and Karoko is the other one. And of course, there's other girls who technically exist in the gacha because again, it's the gacha thing, but they're not at all really a thing in the anime. So we're not going to talk about that part. They exist, but that's pretty much the game, and so whatever. They exist. They have their characters. They have voices and everything, but they're part of the game. So
Yep. We didn't play the game, we watched the anime. So that's what we're talking about.
Another thing is, what's interesting, again, the supernatural element, which actually there was a bit where they kind of did some weird shenanigans regarding chronology and stuff, and it turned out to actually all come together with, by the way, Nana there actually has done this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out she's won the review multiple times.
Yep.
And she keeps wishing for the same thing. She wants to do Starlight again. Exactly the same.
Yep. She's just repeating that same year.
Over and, not even a year. I think it's like a few months. because of how it's set up. So it's like she's done this over and over again, and it turns out her version of herself who's doing this is way serious and kind of just overbearing. Like they early on in the anime, they kind of make it imply that Maya's like the big number one. It's like, oh no, Nana can just kick her butt, no problem.
Yep.
And then in one of the loops, Hikari shows up. That's new.
Which is not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That's never happened before.
And then she's like, Hikari changed everything, and says, no, Hikari didn't change everything. Hikari was just the catalyst. Karin changed everything.
Yep, because Karin is the one that jumped in.
Because she never was part of it before.
Yep. Until Hikari got, I guess, inserted into the loop.
Yeah, it almost feels like, the giraffe was very much, because the giraffe is well aware of all this stuff too. He's fully aware of the loop and everything.
I don't say he's the one who did it. He's just I hate to use the analogy or the connection because they don't really fit in other ways, but the giraffe, I guess his name is Kieran, I'm seeing, but I don't think that was ever mentioned in the anime. The giraffe is effectively QB in this case. He doesn't.
I think Kieran is just literally Japanese for giraffe.
Well, whatever. Effectively, I want to say the QB, if you want to pull a Madoka Magica reference here. He doesn't do it, but he's the one who basically the conduit for what changes happen.
What it is, it's what's common in magical. It's the animal buddy.
Yeah,
they have like so many magical girl anime have the animal character. Madoka's is Kyubey. Sailor Moon was Luna.
Although we get Artemis as well.
And so, but yeah, a lot of magical girl stuff have kind of the animal sidekick, and he kind of takes that place. But it's such a different way of doing it that it's, and a lot of them do the whole recruiting thing, which is kind of what he does. But yeah, in this he kind of seems to have some sort of power, which is never. That's another thing. They don't. There's a lot of stuff they just don't bother explaining. And by the time you realize you don't care.
Yeah,
because there's like, what is this giraffe? What is he even about? What is this? Because one of the other things about this winning is when you win, the second place person, well, your shine, I guess, has to come from somewhere.
Yep.
So you take it from the loser, who then just kind of loses interest in the whole acting thing and just kind of disappears.
Yeah, and one thing I'm wondering is it just the second place person, or is it all? That's what
it almost seems like it applies.
I want to say it's all of them, but we only focused on Hikari because she was the only character that we care about.
Yeah, and well, she went. We find out Hikari went through this whole thing over in London as well, and she actually lost. She got second place, and then realized later on that she's kind of lost her spark. She's like not feeling it anymore until it's kind of I guess some sort of reignites it somehow, and Giraffe's like, oh, I've never seen this before.
That's new.
So then he lets her join the new one.
Yep.
And it's pretty clear, like he will continue doing his machinations. Like, you know what? This has been repeating a lot. That's my thing. Is like it looks like this is repeating over and over again. It's just you go over here. Let's see what happens.
Because there was already a connection to that location with her. So yeah, and since the giraffe's whole thing is seeing something new.
Yep.
I guess
he wants to see it.
Yes, he wants something new, something brilliant. Having a repeating performance over and over again is probably going to get boring.
Yep. So he found a way to, break that.
Yep.
Let's take it. Yeah. So that whole supernaturals, and you get that wish, and then finally at the end, it's like, it's interesting because of how it all worked out. Hikari and Karin just kind of like. They had their promise of they were going to perform together, and that kind of breaks it because there's supposed to only be one, right? Well,
Starlight's a tragedy.
Yeah, and there's also Giraffe. Well, he goes, okay, for the first time, we're going to have a duet.
Yep.
So it wound up being Karin and Hikari versus Claudine and Maya. And it's one of those weird things. Claudine and Maya at this point have kind of come to terms with whatever the heck's going on between them, and it's like, oh yeah, they got the shoe into it. No. Karin and Hikari win. They do it. They pull it off. But then it's like, well, there can still only be one, so you two have to fight each other.
There can still only be one. And again, Starlight's a tragedy.
Yeah, and Hikari, just kind of... Hikari's just kind of standing there confused, Hikari just takes advantage of it.
Cuts the rope. Wins.
And then, that's how the other thing is. They have that little cloak. We never actually talk about it. They have a cloak, and there's a little... if the cloak gets removed, they lose.
Yep. They battle each other with deadly weapons, but it's not to the death.
Yeah. All singing.
while singing and dancing.
Again, it's still very theatrical. Like the stage is moving around, spotlights and pyrotechnics and all that stuff too.
That's another thing, and I think they ramped this up a bit more in the movie. But usually in the stages, in the reviews as they call them, because that's where it gets the name of it. Those events, those battles are called reviews.
Yeah.
There's usually a main character, I guess, like one of the two. It's battling on their stage, but not always. And it seems to be, and again, it's kind of. I saw this a bit more in the movie. When one of them starts to do better, they sort of take control of the stage. Because you notice as they're going, one of them's really pressing it, and the stage is transforming according to what they want and in their favor. But then the other one gets the other hand, and they'll rip it all down and convert the stage. So the stage kind of transforms and conforms around who's actively winning the battle. And it's really cool to see.
Mm. So yeah, Hikari does it and literally like throws Karin down into the water below, and she wins. And what does she wish for? Apparently, just to perform Starlight, except by herself.
It was more like I want to say it was more like a self-sacrifice.
It was
kind
a weird
of thing.
It's really kind of, they don't make it totally clear.
Yeah,
but it's just any which way she's by herself. She's resigned, quote unquote, and she's just kind of.
I think what the whole thing is what she did is that she took the wish, but she made sure that the power that it took didn't come from anyone else. It was a big self-sacrifice, so that
actually that's not true, because Karin did start losing her passion.
But I think that wasn't directly from the losing. It was because Hikari's gone.
It's pretty clear that's what it was. It was part of it was like, I don't get it. I'm not enjoying this anymore. I'm pretty sure that's the whole thing, and it's. But regardless, Hikari's all by herself in some weird desert wasteland, and Karin kind of eventually goes, nah. And she trying desperately to find Hikari, and she eventually gets the elevator disappeared until she got it to come back by banging on the wall where it's supposed to be. And then she goes in and she, I guess, saves Hikari from herself, which is a very interesting thing, because they have another fight, and this time Karin wins the fight, and then they were able to, and that seems all resolved, right? And they perform Starlight as well. And now they actually get, the two of them actually are the leads, because everyone initially was going to be once again Claudine and Maya, but not this time.
Not this time. They finally get to be on stage together, which is the culmination of their original promise.
Yeah,
really.
And then the movie happens, and it's like, and then it turns out Hikari got scared and ran away. Because it's scared of the future and all that stuff, and Karin also is kind of well, now what?
Well, now what?
We did exactly what we always wanted to do. Now I don't know what to do because we're moving on.
I've spent the last 12 years of my life pushing for one thing, and I just did it. Now what?
It's like a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught one.
Yep.
And that was one of the big things too. One of the big things too was just trying to figure out yourself, when Futaba, or for example, Futaba and Karuko has had the whole thing of they are separating and they don't know how to handle that really. And that's one, Juna finally stepping out of Nana's shadow and kind of really embracing herself. For real, just not, it's these are, I'm going to say my words now, not someone else's.
Yep.
Claudine and Maya being gayer than ever. Really, I guess, really finding their relationship. You don't, Maya's I won. No, you didn't. And this time, really seeing Claude, not just that one, but all their fights throughout the movie, again, it really ramps up. I would genuinely say they are erotically charged.
Yeah.
They are, a lot of the times we that one with Futaba and Karuko. Futaba's on top of Karuko, in a way that's this looks like sex is about to happen.
It's weird when you mention that. It's like an older style with movies where you said erotically charged. I'm missing words here, but there's this the concept of using the concept of eroticism,
right,
without being
overtly sexual
or explicit, I guess, without just being just straight up explicit in porn, but
right,
yeah. And there's this, and I think it's people sometimes miss how to do that, and I think it happened a lot more in some older movies.
When they had to get around things.
Yeah, but they did it really well. Or like you see it again, and of course you'd see it here in dance.
Yeah.
You see, you see
A lot
some
of
of these
dances are very erotic.
Yeah, you see some of these dances with two people, and you see how they're handling each other, but never are they being inappropriate. I guess that's the word. It's obvious there's sexual tension, but that's also not inappropriate.
Yeah.
That finding that balance. So yeah, and it's funny. The other place I see a lot of that is like old school like sword fighting scenes in movies, and it's like, well, that's exactly what they were doing here with sword fighting.
Oh, it's actually weirdly enough, Nana and Juna actually are kind of less so in that regard than the rest. They're definitely a lot of passion in it, but it's not. Yeah,
it's a very
different kind. It's a I don't know how to put it, but very different kind of passionate going on than the others. Where it's there's a very much more of an erotic component to it. Again, Maya and Claudine was just like it's like there's gay and then there's this.
What's gayer? Being gay or whatever those two have going on.
And then Hikari and Hikari, they're the big climactic scene. Even that. And that's kind of more of a tender version, particularly at the beginning with, when Karin dies, quote unquote.
Yeah, there was a lot less.
Yeah, that was weird too. She just, like a tomato explodes and she falls over and that's it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, they did the tomato. It's funny because that was also a callback to the very beginning, the very first scene of the movie. The tomato exploding being like representative of like death or whatnot. Exploding heads and whatnot. Head just did that. Popped like a tomato. Or it could be, their heart.
Yeah, but anyways, it's just like that was a much more of a tenderness to that one until all of a sudden the guitars kick in. Until the guitars kick in and tell me we're in Mad Max, but trains.
Yeah, that one. Or Futaba and Kuroko's whole thing with the trucks.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And that was one of those things with kind of vague implications about Kuroko, because that's very Yakuza-esque what she's doing, and it's like, I believe that's one of the things that there's implication. Because another thing is they get in the movie they get actually more into like Karin's family, which really was not even a thing throughout the series. Yeah, and we kind of get a little bit more about because they give a lot of flashbacks to Karin growing up. We don't get to see our Hikari much because we kind of saw her a little bit in the series, but enough to understand. There's not really much else about Hikari that we really need to know on that front. But with Karin, we get to see her thing and her, trying to really hold her promise to Hikari through the whole time and doing the theater thing. And we see her backstory that wasn't really in the series. It's proper. So they really, really flesh that out a little bit more. And it's just, again, so weird because you're looking at what the actual story is. The story itself is not. Again, there's not a whole lot to it. When you really break it down, it's like it's a very simple story. It's both the series and the movie, but they're done in such a fantastical way that you just can't look away from it. And again, even in the series itself, when these things don't make sense. Where did the giraffe come from? Why are they even fighting each other? What is this all about? Who cares?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
None of that matters. Just look at it.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's I think I've talked about it on some other, when there's some weird thing going on. There's two real ways to do that when you have magic or some weird tech thing. You either have to explain it so well that it works, or you do literally the opposite and you do everything so you don't explain it at all and have it still work. And this is one of those cases where you don't explain it. Explaining it would make it worse.
And that's the other thing was Hikari and Mihiru's fight in the movie as well. I totally forgot. They didn't fight in the series proper, really, at least not in any way that's really super relevant. I think because there's several times multiple fights were happening at once. This, literally, I believe Karin and Mihiru's fight was actually going through other people's fights.
Yep, it was.
But Karin and Mihiru, good lord.
Oh.
Mihiru's scary.
She's scary.
Yeah, they kind of went more into this is a serial killer chasing, like a slasher movie, monster chasing the victim type of thing. Especially with, Mihiru's mace.
Yeah. Or the elevators.
He's chasing after Hikari. Why did you run? Why did you run, Hikari? I stayed behind. And then finally Hikari breaking down I was scared.
Yeah.
It's I'm scared too.
Yep. And that was Hikari, Mahiro pushing Hikari to really figure herself out.
Because even also Mahiro admitting, I hated you.
Yep.
I hated you because you were stealing her from me. It's like, well, Hikari was there first. Shut up.
Hikari was there first.
Shut up.
Yeah, but you ran away. You ran away first, and now you came back thinking you could get her back. Yeah, my hero, the whole with the cardboard or wooden cutout cat things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was terrifying. God, those fights must have been disorienting, though. Especially, again, my hero. With the whole Olympics thing, turn it, move one way, and suddenly you're in a completely different outfit, trying to do like some Olympic grade turnaround, and now you're doing something else. And it's just going through all the different Olympic events.
It's pretty cool though.
Oh, it looked amazing, but God, that's got to be disorienting.
No, if you're the one in charge.
Well, I mean, on Hikari's
standpoint, you're talking to Mahiro. It's like Hikari's standpoint. Yeah, it's like what?
Yeah.
What?
From Hikari's standpoint, it's like what the? Which is why she was losing, because just probably the whole. I don't know what the hell's going on. How am I supposed to fight?
Interesting. I was looking at voice actors for like Karin Momoyo Koyama, who's actually mostly was doing stage stuff for a while, but then started moving into anime.
Interesting.
Voice acting. Like, yeah, they've done the apparently the live action stage show for Revue Starlight, but also did some live action Sailor Moon stuff as Sailor Mercury. That's NTR, that one we watched a while back.
Oh, geez.
Interspecies reviewers.
Oh, God.
Nijigaseki High School Club, Love Life. Drama Club president. Oh, right. I know who that is. And Teppen. It's, of course, Kari, voiced by Suzuko Mimori, who is Umi Sonoda in Love Life, and many other roles, including Yuri Himawari. I've talked about, Himawari, Yuri, but it's just Space Pirates. And yeah, lots and 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 lots of roles.
Apparently the giraffe was also the voice of the grizzled dude in Chainsaw Man.
My hero
amongst a lot of other things as well.
My hero is voiced by Haruki Iwata, but she just of course no link here. Aina Aiba does Claudine, and Bang Dream, Kimono Friends. Teppen. Another Teppen.
Yeah.
Maho Tomita. Wow. Just one thing. Just the one thing.
Interesting.
Looks like she mostly does, she doesn't do a lot of anime stuff, apparently. At all, okay. Juna was Hinata Sato. Lots of live action stuff. Leia Kazuno in Love Live Sunshine. The older sister from Saint Snow.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the younger sister. Sarah's the older one. So she's the tsundere girl who has a thing for Ruby. Nana Moeka Koizumi, who D4DJ. Shioriko in Love Live. Nijigaseki. Futaba is Teru Ikuda. No, nothing here on Wikipedia. Karako is Ayasa Ito. And it's quite a Magical Index 3. Is Order Rabbit. I've been killing slime for 300 years. Oh, okay. Teppen again. Jeez, another Teppen. Bang Dream. Video games. Girls Frontline.
Oh, geez.
Azur Lane. Arc Knights.
Oh, my God.
Fate Grand Order.
That was Seto Kaiba. It's Seto Kaiba.
Who's?
The giraffe.
Oh.
That's
Screw the rules, I have money. That was another thing about the giraffe. Man, the bit where he turned into fruit and then lit himself on fire. That was, there's that other scene earlier too.
That was symbolic though.
Yeah, but there's that other scene earlier where he's talking to the other girls and he learned him to turn into fruit. And I was like, geez, that got actually kind of disturbing.
Oh yeah, it looked quite disturbing. But
he later turned into don't go to sleep.
Yeah, but it's symbolic. He is their nourishment. He's what
I know it's
forward.
symbolic, but still, he lit himself on fire.
Because he is what ignites the flame of their soul.
It's still
symbolic.
Disturbing.
And then he jumped. I don't know why he jumped off though and fell. That I don't get.
It's symbolic.
I do not understand.
You can't just throw Wakarimasen.
Wakarimasen.
That was a great moment when we were watching it. Just you were complaining. He just says
jeez.
Wakari Mas all the time, and you just like complain. And right afterwards, he says "I see" in English, and you're like, "Are you?"
The minute I speak up and complain is the moment in this series that he does something different.
Because that was the one where we revealed, oh yeah, Hikari has met him before, and he was because he spoke to her in English initially. It's like, oh, okay, it's Japanese, that'll work. Good, too, cool, because you're not speaking English very well. That was the other thing was in the movie here at the near the beginning, we have Hikari acting in English. Acting here, I would a bit of a loose term. I mean, I understand. You don't speak English.
Yeah.
You're just trying to use the katakana to sound like you speak English or whatever notes they have.
Right. Yeah. That's what it's.
But it's hard to act in another language you don't speak.
It is. How do you do tone?
It's also hard to voice direct when one of your actors is speaking a different language, as we found out with Hololive and some of their stuff.
Yeah.
Ina. Oh boy, Ina. You're cute, Ina, but boy, your acting ability is...
it could use some work. It's a little rough.
But then again, also, using the other thing, apparently no voice direction, just kind of, here's a script.
Yeah.
Record it. Okay. Apparently, I've ever heard also the Japanese, the girls there, apparently, if you knew Japanese pretty well, you'd know that they're not great actresses either.
Yeah, that's another one. It's tough to judge someone's acting capability in a language you do not know.
Yeah, which is a lot. It's like, I don't know. It's like, is the acting in this? I don't know if it's any good. It sounds good to me, but I don't know where emphases are supposed to be and so on and so forth.
I don't know how tone works in your language.
I can pick up some of the words, I guess.
I know some of these words. Anyway, it's an amazing series.
It's amazing. And you should watch it if you haven't already. The entire series is on High Dive. And yes, that does include the movie. Although, word of warning, apparently the Blu-ray has a bit of an issue in that if you pick Japanese audio, it'll still jump to English. And if you're playing on, say, I don't know, the Xbox, it will not work right. And you have to use your PlayStation instead to play the Blu-ray properly. Yeah,
no clue if that's just one little one-off issue, but that was weird. Both devices, it just flips over to English audio as soon as it starts playing, regardless of what setting you have.
Yep, and that was annoying because like we watched the series in Japanese. If you watch the whole thing in English, which I don't know what that's like because I haven't watched it, but
yeah,
if you do, then you're not gonna have a problem. But if you want to watch it in Japanese, well, you're gonna have to do
double check that it's actually gonna flip.
If it doesn't flip over, then well, you're gonna have to flip it. Hopefully, get the pop-up menu to work and flip it over there. If it doesn't,
or whatever.
If you're on Xbox, apparently that won't work all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, worth checking out for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely watch it. I'm going to go look, see if I can get the music in any capacity.
Yeah.
Any capacity. Even if I have to buy the CDs, I might just do that.
Yeah, because I want the OSTs, especially for the movie. Mm-hmm. Especially for
that final song goes hard.
Uh-huh.
That goes hard as a big old beautiful ballad and the guitar's kicking. Okay, I see where we're going here now.
Yep.
And I like it.
It's really good.
And so check it out. Again, High Dive. Yeah, I know. Tolerate their crap player, but
yeah,
it's the only place to watch it. And yeah, that was our big get of the year, and boy, they got a big get.
Big get. Yep.
It's a big one and worth. Yeah. So I guess that's it for this episode.
We've rambled on that one for a bit.
Yeah, really loved it. Any particular character you like?
God, they're all good. My pre-existing preferences immediately, caught my attention with Futaba. Bit of a tomboy, rides a motorcycle, red hair.
Short red hair.
Yeah, it is short, but that's fine. But God, the characters are so unique and developed.
Yeah, the other thing was the big reveal with Nana's personality, for example.
That was the big one.
Oh yeah.
When they showed,
Man,
by the way, the person who isn't actually on stage for Starlight, because they're the one writing and not the one acting, is actually the big top star of everything and the one you're running the whole show.
But for me personally, Hikari, that's the type of character I like. Hikari, Takana, Homura.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that one. But yeah, it's tough for me to say.
Also voiced by the same person who does Umi, who Umi's my favorite from Muse. And somewhat similar character, but not quite the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, you can check out other episodes on newtoweeboo.libsyn.com. It's spelled Libsyn. You can subscribe to the RSS feed there if you'd like, or you can subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and apparently YouTube just introduced a podcast feature. I got to look into that. Amazon Podcast is a thing, too. You can search for New to Weeboo in any of those if you want, and subscribe that way, and keep up to date as we do this thing.
Well.
You can also contact us via email, newtoweeboo@gmail.com, if you have questions or comments or criticism or anime recommendations, or what did you think of Revue Starlight? Because, I don't know, maybe you didn't like it. Maybe you're dead inside.
Dead inside.
Anyway, you can, do that. And, of course, there's our Twitter, @newtoweeboo. It's still there. We're still doing that thing. Twitter still exists. Somehow
it hasn't,
despite a stupid billionaire's attempts otherwise.
Yep.
So there's that, and of course our personal Twitters. I'm at Nemesis Prime 1, and he's at Alcatraz770 and _ at the end. Utao and Vocaloid if you want, for him, me, Transformers.
Yep. I do like my cute Tatos and Mikus.
So
and similar.
Yep, we come to the end of this, and so you can join us next time in April. We'll be talking about another musical anime, K-On!
Oh God, we're finally doing it. Everyone says, "You watch K-On! Watch K-On!"
We're watching K-On! Anyway, take care of yourselves. It's spring now.
It's attempting to be spring where we are.
It's spring now, and things are warming up. Less snow. Me going, oh yeah, I don't need my hat and gloves anymore, do I?
Bright and sunny for now, and it's supposed to be pouring down rain again.
That's spring.
Pacific Northwest.
It's spring.
Spring.
Well, don't you know spring showers bring Mayflowers?
Yep.
Well, April showers. But anyway, April's in spring, so
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, get used to the, I guess, warmer weather, or actually getting used to the colder weather if you're in the southern hemisphere.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time, so goodbye.
Bye.